Portal signings are still popping, but did Scott Frost find the key at QB? Lights out.
You are Locked On UCF, your daily podcast on the UCF Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On UCF, your daily UCF podcast. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us on, turn us up, we'll turn it out. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of every day and for making Locked On the number one podcast network anywhere there are podcasts. I'm here with my good friend, James Duncan, UCF sports commentator, to talk a little UCF football here on the midweek. James, on today's show, we're going to talk about QB. We've been having an ongoing conversation about QB. Just yesterday, we said, who's going to back up Alonza Barnett III? And I think we got our answer today. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about what's left in the portal. We've got some interesting numbers to spit at you guys here. They have a wider conversation about what's left to find in the portal for UCF. And then, unfortunately, we got to talk some basketball here. UCF got 30 burgered. We got to talk about it. But we're going to start at the top before we do. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our title sponsor, Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. No better place to get game tickets than with our friends at Game Time. College football season may be over, but Game Time has you covered. And you know, the World Cup is coming, so I don't know if you're a soccer fan, but I am a soccer fan around World Cup time, and I can't wait to get on Game Time and find tickets for myself, my wife, and my daughter. We're going to go soccer it up via the Game Time app. James, Keyone Jenkins has signed with UCF. And yes, that's how it's pronounced, Keyone Jenkins. He is a lefty QB who is coming in really. I mean, look, man, this guy feels like a competitor. He feels like a competitor to me. And before we started recording, we talked a little bit about Keyone, so I want to give some measurables really quickly before we get into it. Not a prototypical Big 12 size QB, 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's a junior. He played high school in Miami, Florida, at Miami Carroll City. Keyone Jenkins comes via FIU. So he's coming from Florida International University, and he ran up some yards there. 6,700 yards passing, 42 passing touchdowns, 25 interceptions, 13 rushing scores. Talk to me, man, about Keyone Jenkins. We asked the question with the last QB signing and saying, like, look, man, this doesn't feel like the guy that's going to step in for you if Alonza Barnett goes down or doesn't play well. Keyone Jenkins might be, though. Lights out?
Lights on. I like it. I like it a lot. I think that if you're looking at a guy to come play quarterback too for you, you'd take a 3-year starter over anyone. I mean, like, serious. I'd much rather a 3-year G5 starter than a failed P5, even a like semi-decent P5. I think that you need guys with leadership ability at backup. And when you have a guy that started for 3 years, I mean, he started, Mike, as a true freshman for FIU, throwing in his true freshman. He was 18 years old, threw for 2,422 yards, 11 touchdowns. Pretty good for a true freshman that's playing for Florida International. Then his sophomore season ramps it up with 2,500 plus yards, 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Has a little bit of regression his junior season, but he was battling injury for small portions of that season. So that's something that you can kind of point to, but hopefully he's had time to rejuvenate, get better. But I think this is your auto QB2. I think actually, you know, I'm not saying that he's going to be getting out there and competing for the starting job, but I think he's going to push Alonza to be a little bit better than he maybe was anticipating based on the other guys in the room. I mean, if you're Alonza, you're coming in, you're looking at 2 true freshmen. All the other guys have transferred out. And then, you know, you swap with Davi Belfort, so you don't have him anymore. And then you get Caleb Annett, who has never seen any college football playing time from Boise State, who, by the way, someone in the comments, thank you for pointing this out, was recruited by Steve Cooper, the offensive coordinator, when he was at Boise. So I did not make that connection.
Ooh.
I appreciate someone saying that in our comments. Y'all are so good at investigating. And so I appreciate y'all tuning in and commenting down below. So, they went and got that guy, but now we've got 5 scholarship QBs, unless I'm incorrect and one of the transfers they brought in isn't going to be on scholarship. It's kind of interesting. We've had 1 extra scholarship QB and 1 extra scholarship running back this year in the portal. So I'm interested to see what they end up doing there. But yeah, Keyone is a very experienced QB. And another thing you have to look at is if he doesn't end up needing to come in more than 4 times in the season, and he sits there and he develops under McKenzie, he's still got another full year of eligibility if he redshirts, because he, like I said, started his true freshman season. So he has not used his redshirt. If he sits and develops, he could battle for Rocco the next year.
This kid's been a developmental kind of guy his whole career, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, going all the way back to high school, 7A is the highest class of high school football in the state of Florida. And he played Miami Carroll City, from what I could tell, is 2A football. So, his path through FIU kind of makes sense. A lot of those kids have to work their way up almost like through a farm system to get to the FBS level, because quite frankly, the level of competition at the high school level that they're playing against, not stacked with Division I prospects. So but some of the best players, man, come out of these schools where you were unable to gauge how good they really are based on who they played against. So I'm sure he looked like a man amongst boys in high school, probably put up crazy numbers. But nobody gave him a serious look here. And look, man, I think Alonza Barnett III is going to kill it. I think he's going to put up numbers. But in the case that something happens, which we don't hope for, and we don't even, sometimes I don't even like talking about it because I don't want to predict it, but you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready for injuries, especially at this level of football. And when they happen, you got to have a guy to step in. Look, 2 years ago in Gus's last year, we made a lot of jokes about them essentially being on their 4th string quarterback, but like nobody got hurt. it was just bad play that got you to your 4th string quarterback, which is a very, very odd thing at this level. But now with Alonza Barnett III coming in and taking the starting job, and with Keyone coming in, this is the signing I think that we were looking for, James. The signing with real experience that you can gauge. It may not be against a bunch of P4 teams. However, he's got real tape that you can look at and say, all right, like, we know where we're starting with him. We know what we need to coach him up on this spring to get him ready to be a piece that we can be confident in if he is called upon. And I mean, if you do this right, I like the point that you made about years of eligibility left, then possibly you have a quarterback going into next year as well that can help solidify your room. He's going to stay loyal to you potentially, because he's not going to get, if Alonza stays healthy, he's not going to get a ton of tape this year. So he won't have a bunch of leverage in the portal. But what he will want is he will want a real opportunity to get the starting job. Because once the clock starts ticking on those eligible years, man, guys don't, this whole thing where like fans are just like, he just needs to wait his turn. You got to understand the player's perspective on this. They're always trying to bring somebody in that's better than you. So every year I wait, and then you go to the portal and you bring some guy in who's got 3 years of playing experience. Now I got to battle against him now. And I know what people are going to say. They're going to hit the comment section like, well, these guys don't want to compete, Mike G. No. This is not about not wanting to compete. They want to compete. But you know what I can't compete against is I can't compete against your bias toward players who've got tape that you won't give me. So I got to get on the field. is what I have to do. I have to get tape. And I'm hoping that Keyone can get some tape here, something that they can use to judge and say, you know what? We got a special one waiting in the wings here. Alonza gives us a bridge year to another guy who's in our system. And then going into next spring, he knows what the expectations are. He knows the system. He knows exactly how you want things executed. And he can be a leader to everyone who comes in to say, look, man, this is how we do it at UCF. Your quarterback being a leader is not optional if you want to play winning football in the Big 12. Final thoughts on Keyone Jenkins becoming a UCF Knight. I'm low-key excited about this one, James.
Are you Keyone excited? Are you low Keyone excited, Mike? Listen, I think this is the perfect hire. I think this is the perfect signing that UCF needed. Solidify the room, ease the tensions a little bit. I think everyone has looked at the past couple years at UCF and gone, man, they played a bunch of different quarterbacks these past couple years. They played 12 plus quarterbacks in the past 4 years or something. You know what's so funny is I feel like the expected number 2 has always been left-handed. Like over the past couple years.
Yeah, it's funny. That is a really funny thing that I had in the back of my mind. So I was like, oh, another lefty.
I was like Cam Fancher, Keyone, and then Timmy McClain I was thinking of as well. Like these guys over the past couple years. Yeah, I think this was the perfect signing for UCF just to kind of ease the tensions of fans and, bring people back to earth. It's nice to know that you have a second guy with football playing experience in the room. And not only was it like 1 or 2 seasons, the guy started 3 straight seasons. So I think this was a smash signing by the UCF football staff.
I do too. Look, they've got to keep it moving, and they're potentially not done in the portal, James. But what is left for the UCF Knights in the portal? We've got some interesting talking points that we want to talk about what's left in the portal and where UCF will go from here. We'll talk about that next, right after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our friends at Game Time, our title sponsor, guys. There's nothing like the college football season. Tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. It may be over. The championship game may have come and gone, but that doesn't mean that you can't still get great tickets to your favorite games, man, with Game Time. The energy, the bands, moments you will remember forever that you don't want to miss. You got to be there in person for it. Game Time can make you happen. They give the advantage back to fans, and it's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and other experiences in just a few taps. You open the Game Time app and you look up upcoming games, choose your team, and look for the best seats that you can. You'll be surprised at how fast it works, and it's a great way to find seats. The app is incredibly easy to use. You go from browsing to buying tickets in just minutes. We love being able to see panoramic seat view, so you know exactly what you're buying when you buy it. The zone deals stand out. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. Seeing your favorite team starting as low as $25 makes it really easy to get on the Game Time app and make the trip to see your team play today. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What's left in the portal for UCF? Hell, James, what's left in the portal for everybody? It is actually kind of crazy, but I want to give some numbers here about, and again, these are all estimates because this is a moving, fluid situation with kids. But as of today, there are roughly 10,965 NCAA football players that have entered the portal. Of those 10,965 players, 6,671 players remain unsigned and are still active in the portal, meaning they have not committed to a school yet. So 1,600 of those who are still active in the portal are FBS. 1,700 of them are FCS, and about 3,200 of them are D2 or D3 players. So if you're talking purely active portal stock as of today, the ballpark figure is somewhere around 6,700 total players, with 1,600 of them being FBS players. I wanted to give those stats to set the stage for this conversation about what UCF has to do in the portal moving forward, not just for this portal season, but beyond. And while Scott Frost is the coach here, or any guy is the coach here, but sifting through. Essentially, I mean, if we rule out the D2, D3 guys, let's just say they're looking at FBS and FCS guys primarily. That's still over 3,500 players that these guys have to figure out. We need like 10 of them. 10 of 3,500 guys that could come in and help us. What a mammoth job this is. College football staffs are having to adjust for what this is. The massive amounts of data. Back in the day when I was in school, I said back in the day, I went to college in the 80s. I was in college in the early 2000s. And even then, it was just a lot of travel. It was, we're going to this school to see this kid, but the coach says, hey, but take a look at these other kids. So if you were at a popular high school that produced Division I prospects, you were more likely to get a look by having a teammate who was getting looks from scouts that were coming from other colleges here. And now it's tape. It's endless amounts of tape that help coaches focus their travel on the kids that they really like their tape and they want to see them play. Scott Frost and company, they have to figure out a way to be better at this than everybody else. Because there's some real diamonds in the rough here, but I gave you the numbers, dude. That's tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, and honestly, I think with some of the players that they've gotten, they have found that needle, and I think they found a couple.
Who are the needles? Who are the needles that you think they found?
I think Josh Derry was an absolute elite.
Scary Derry. All right.
Scary Derry was an absolute elite find. I think Duke Watson was another really good grab. I think he was underrated because of his injury this past year. If you look at what he put on tape from his freshman season, elite. Like he was averaging like 8+ yards a carry. I think that there's gonna be. I think with the amount of safeties that you got, one of them has to be good. One of the 6 that you got, I would say probably Brian Dahl is another name from Akron, the 6'7" defensive end. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think you've obviously returned some really good guys at defensive tackle, but the guy from Henry Tabansi from Buffalo, the O-lineman, and Tyler Gibson from Charlotte, the O-lineman as well. I think you've got some guys on your team, and I'm really excited to see how that turns out in terms of realizing if these guys were gems or not. Like you said, it is a mammoth task what these guys are going after. And just to kind of put some numbers out there, UCF had 34 portal entrances that I can at least track down. They had 34 portal entrances. So far, I believe they are at 29 or 30 signed. Now, granted, if you're looking at scholarship spots, I do believe that maybe two or three of the guys that hopped in the portal were walk-ons, notably like Tyler Wren, Josh Dornsonville, I think was another one. There might have been 1 or 2 more, but I think if you're looking at open roster slots right now, UCF might have 1 or 2 more loaded in the chamber that they can fire out to go get you a really solid player late in this portal cycle. The portal's closed. Can't get in it anymore. But there are guys still in there. They're floating in limbo. And here's the thing. This has kind of been a little bit of a discussion. And I know we've dug into this on other episodes. But guys are getting in the portal and then not finding anywhere to go play football. And it is going to be more common this year than it has been last year. And last year was more common than the year prior. And the year prior was more common. So it is going to keep getting until there are some sort of regulations on, the things that are happening in the college football world, I really do believe that players are going to hop in the portal and find less spots at an increasingly alarming rate. And I think it's especially true with some of these D2, D3 guys, some of the FCS guys that maybe believe they have a shot somewhere and are told like, hey man, we think we can get you an offer somewhere. Because the transfer portal era, this transfer portal cycle made, like, I learned a lot about from talking to reps and talking to players. I learned a lot about this because for me, I know what the difference is between a committable offer and a regular offer out of high school, but I didn't realize that it was such a large thing when somebody offers you on a visit. If you don't commit right then and there when they have pen and paper in front of you, that offer could be gone by the time that your plan lands on the tarmac at your next visit.
Yeah, this isn't getting talked about enough. And so we've got real intel on this. This is a route that not just UCF, a lot of schools are going, where they are not letting players jerk them around, man, and bounce around and take a bunch of visits. They're essentially saying, once you commit to the visit, we'll give you essentially until you get to the campus, go through your visit, and then about an hour after you leave, if you haven't made up your mind that we're the spot, we're moving on.
Yeah, because I think a lot of players looked at last year's transfer portal anecdotes, and were like, oh, the players have the power. The players have the power in this situation. Not this year. Not this.
A few players have that sort of power.
Maybe 10.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but a few players who really move the needle for schools, but they're getting money put on the table for them that says, yes, you are commanding. You could, we'll wait on you, or we'll clear a spot, or it just doesn't matter. If you come here, you're going to play over. It doesn't matter if we go sign a guy. If you commit here, you're playing. Thinking about guys like that who got in the portal, I would say like Cam Coleman is that type of player.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, he ended up signing with Texas, but no matter where that kid was going, he's going to play. He's going to be wearing a jersey. He's going to be starting. And it's not even going to be a question, because the committable money, rev share money that they're going to give to a guy like that says you're playing. And, so Cam can take as many visits as he wants. I don't think Duke Watson could have taken a jerk UCF around. He had to decide, look, man, this is where I want to be, and I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
So it is a dangerous gamble, I think, for a lot of players who enter the portal, because we don't talk about the players who get in the portal and essentially never get out. And you know what it's like? It's like Scott Lang entering the quantum realm by accident. and he's like, man, how do I get out of this thing? Right. And so he's trying everything, man. He just, all right, I'll just get the big thing here and just hit it. And then suddenly comes out. He's like, whoo, that was scary.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I was in there for years.
Yeah. And some of these guys never come out.
They never come out. So, if you want to be like Scott and get out and not be like what was it? What was Hank Van Dyne's wife's name? I'm forgetting my name. I'm going super nerd mode here with the Marvel references. But she got lost. She got lost in the quantum realm. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to get lost in the quantum realm if you are a college football player in today's college football. It's happening. And it is a real scary thing to think that, they're being talked into this by people who have financial motives to try to get them in the portal and get them someplace else, because these agents can't make money if these kids aren't moving. And I hate that. I hate that, James. I hate that there are bad actors behind the money advising kids to make decisions that aren't really in their best interest so that they can make money. So, I mean, look, if you're Scott Frost, ultimately, you need to turn UCF into the type of program where kids want to stay. So we're not having this conversation a whole bunch. And you're going to have it, because no matter how good your program is, kids are going to want to leave.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many 5-stars you stack, right? Kids are going to want to leave. You know why? Because you can't play every single 5-star that you sign. You sign all of them, but somebody's going to be unhappy and they're going to hit the portal and they're going to go find another home. And you just got to make sure that you're in a place where you're keeping the guys who move the needle for you and that you are getting the guys who move the needle for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is really about what kind of program are we building towards here at UCF under Scott Frost? Are we becoming the place where players want to go, where they see opportunity, but they see not just opportunity to play, but an opportunity to leave their mark on college football, to make the college football playoff? That was the idea behind the whole move to the Big 12, right? It was we don't want to 2017 it again and get left out of the conversation.
Yeah.
So you need the players to help you get back there consistently, though, and that's what the portal was supposed to be. Twofold. Number one, give some power back to the players in terms of where they choose to play their football, But number two, it was supposed to help improve the quality of the game so that we get to see these amazing players actually go someplace where they're going to play and not be buried on somebody's bench because they have to or sit out a whole year of your life just, or go play JUCO because, it was such a stupid rule to begin with. I just want to see UCF get their pick. And that's where Scott Frost has a lot of work to do. Getting this program to a place where you can not only go out and get those guys, but they're coming to you. They're saying, "Whoo, they just graduated a quarterback to the NFL. Alonza Barnett is a first-round draft pick. I'm going to UCF to be the next great UCF quarterback." That's what I want to see, James, out of this portal. But I don't want to lose the stories of the guys who come from these D2 and D3 programs that we've never heard of and become stars. At the NFL is littered with 3-star prospects nobody ever heard of coming out of high school. I'm telling you. Right. What was the guy back in 2015? Oh, his name always escapes me. He got hit for the Patriots that got the pick that ended the Super Bowl. He picked off Russell Wilson.
Malcolm Butler.
Wasn't he like Arizona State? Not Arizona State. I'm sorry, Alabama State. I think he went to Alabama State.
Yeah, he was some little school.
It was an HBCU. I think he came from an HBCU.
Could be, yeah.
Right. And so love my guys that come from historically black colleges and universities for sure. But man, like, what an awesome story. Malcolm Butler coming from a program like that is not producing a ton of NFL prospects, but here he is making the play in the Super Bowl. Fun fact: I lived 3 miles from where that game was played when it was when that happened. I was 3 miles away, sitting in my living room watching that happen in Arizona. But look, we're going to continue to have this conversation, James. I appreciate your thoughts on this too. I hope that people with the program, players, I hope they're listening to this. The portal is a dicey game. And if you're Scott Frost, you need to be a safe haven for players coming out of the portal. UCF needs to be the best decision they ever made when they decide, I'm coming out of the portal, but I'm going to go play at UCF. Players young men do not overestimate the leverage that you have. Not everybody who tells you, oh, I have this or I have that for you is telling you the truth. And these programs are doing what they feel like are in their best interest. So when you have to make decisions quickly and you have to make them decisively. And if you waffle, if you waver, that door may not be open as long as you think. Look, we're going to move on here, but I've got to end the show talking about something that I ain't really want to talk about, but we had to talk about it because it happened. And I want to revisit a conversation we had yesterday in relation to the game here. UCF goes down to Iowa State by a lot. We'll talk about that next, right here on Locked On UCF. A 30 burger. UCF got 30 burger, man. Just a double cheeseburger, triple milk patty burger. It was bad. But we've got some stats and we want to talk about what happened here because it was not their best performance. But these games happen. Hopefully they got this out of their system. It was a tough road game against a top 10 team in the country. So, this team is still overachieving by a long shot, and I don't want to undermine their accomplishments so far this season. They're still solidly a tournament team, but how they got screwed versus Arizona irks me even more after this game. Because, as we mentioned, if they could have won 3 out of the next 6, now they're 0-2 to start this stretch. And, they should get the next 2. I think they'll get the next 2. But going into Texas Tech and who's the other team that they're playing?
Houston,
right? Yeah. It's, man, yeah, you got to get the next 2 and you got to split one of those. And I still think that this is a successful stretch here for UCF. They only shot 37% from the field, but the story of this game, we talked about this before we started recording, turnovers. Horrible. 19 turnovers.
Horrible.
And Iowa State scored 31 points off of UCF turnovers in a game that they lost by 30 points, while simultaneously only turning the ball over 5 times. Iowa State only turned the ball over 5 times in this game. UCF got a mere 5 points off their 5 turnovers. That's the game. There was still a free throw disparity here. They only shot 6 free throws in this game. That's an unbelievable stat to me as well.
Not getting into the cup.
Yeah, right. But I think that's not about how the game was reffed. It was about how UCF played the game. Talk to me, man, about this. It sucks, but it's not going to end their season. It was just, oh man, you would have liked to have seen a better showing from the Knights here in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was basically just a classic meltdown. I think kind of almost, led by the fact that JaMychal Stillwell did not play this game. JaMychal Stillwell out with a left leg injury in a boot. Not hopeful for the UCF faithful fans back at home in Orlando. Really bad, actually. That's like one of your premier guys in terms of physical forwards in the Big 12. I'm actually not really sure that I would take even 3 players over JaMychal Stillwell in terms of like just a pure physicality, small forward, shooting guard type player. He is so good at using his body, getting to the line, being comfortable in that mid-range to 10-foot area, shooting floaters, shooting, little mid-range shots, little hook shots, drawing fouls. That guy knows how to play physical, and when you don't have him on the court, you lack physicality that you would otherwise have. They started, it looks like, Fulks, Kugel, Bull, Cambridge, and Burks. Now, that is not a big lineup in terms of weight. John Bull, he might be tall, but he's not heavy. Devin Cambridge, he might be old, but he is not heavy. Jordan Burks, same situation. I mean, he's tall, but he's not a big, heavy, physical guy. None of those guys are all, terribly physical. And maybe Devon Cambridge the most out of, the 5. But with, if you've got Themis Fulks, who's skyrocketing the team in assists per game, throwing 6 turnovers, you can't expect to win the game. I mean, it was brutal to watch. And like I said, like you said, 5 for 6 from the 3-point or from the free throw line. That's, fine. If you told me, James, we missed 1 free throw all game, I would have said, that's great. You probably wouldn't have lost by 30. And then you realize that you only shot 6.
Yeah.
Did you play a full game? It's frustrating because we've seen the talent that this team has. Because, by the way, in the game before this, Iowa State points. Given day, I know that it's any given day with basketball, with college basketball, but truthfully, you should have never gotten beat by 30 points by any team on your schedule.
When you turn the ball over the way they did, the outcome is likely to be what we saw. I just want a weird stat notation. Everyone who played more than 10 minutes in this game turned the ball over. everyone who played more than 10 minutes. The only guys who did not turn the ball over, let's see here. Jacurri Johnson played 3 minutes and did not turn the ball over. Good for him. Man, who else didn't turn the ball over here? Jeremy Fumene, he had 0 turnovers. He played like 9 minutes. So that, again, not a ton there. And then last but not least, with 2 minutes was Holsway.
Elijah Holsway. Yeah,
Holsway.
both him and Johnson have not played any conference play minutes.
Yeah, so technically he got 2 minutes and he didn't turn the ball over, but everybody else had one or most likely multiple turnovers here in this one. So it was a team effort. When I look at a stat sheet and I see that Iowa State has 13 steals, that tells me that they are, and obviously we watched the game, they were just throwing the ball away, man. Like, you're throwing the ball to them, bad passes, lazy passes, just not good basketball. Johnny Dawkins has got to get these guys refocused and ready for the next one, because here's what you don't want. You lose a game like this where you get 30 burgered, and then sometimes you lose the next one and the team is not Iowa State, but we don't want them to slip back into that thing where you start finding ways to lose. Again, I talked about this 6-game stretch because we talked about last year in the middle of the season, they had a stretch of 7 straight losses that tanked the season. That was it. There was no coming back from that. If you're UCF, now you started 0-2 in this really important stretch, and you've got to break that the next game. You've got to stop the slide, man. You got to get the next 2, and then you've got to get to Texas Tech and Houston and figure out a way to split those, and you're still on track. The goal has to be tournament and not on the bubble come Selection Sunday. I'm talking about firmly in the tournament. Do not, you had one of the greatest starts in school history in basketball. Cannot throw it away in conference play here.
We're talking about the NCAA tournament. We're not,
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, we could go on a run in the Crown, Mike. You never know what this team is capable of.
Yeah, I always talk about the crowd tournament. No, I'm talking about they need to make the NCAA tournament, and this is something that I want to underscore before we get out of here for our listeners. Going on a run in your conference tournament means jack crap to this selection committee. Year in and year out, they are showing us that if you are not firmly in the tournament, by the time your conference tournament comes around, the only thing that helps you is winning it. That's it. Right? You can make a run all the way to the Big 12 championship game, lose it, and still miss the tournament. And if you miss it, that tells you they didn't have you in, like, you aren't going to make it. I need people to understand that they are awarding you on the whole body of work from your regular season, essentially, when they give you a bid to the NCAA tournament. And I hate it. I hate it because I think that if you go on a run in your conference tournament, it should matter. If you win every game from the back of the pack and you were on the bubble and you go all the way to the championship game, I think that shouldn't matter and you should make it. But I don't know, James. I don't want UCF on the bubble come Selection Sunday. I don't want them on the bubble because I don't think they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. So
they have proven that they won't get
the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. You've got to get off the bubble. And the way to do that is stack up quad 1 wins here in the regular season. You still got a lot of, it's a tough schedule, but those are opportunities. Those are opportunities for you to prove yourself and just be a team that's firmly in. If you could just win a couple of them, you don't win all of them, but you need a couple of signature wins, man. And that's what, again, I go back to Arizona. God, man, if the refs weren't so biased, then they might have it already. They might have it already. I'm not going to blow a gasket this too early on UCF basketball, but I do think that if you're Johnny Dawkins, you've got to play this next game like your season is riding. The whole season is riding on it.
It basically is.
Yeah, stop the slide, man. You can't start this stretch 0-3. You just can't. And could they go on and win the next 3? Yeah, maybe. Unlikely though. Not with Texas Tech and Houston. It's just not likely. So get the next 2, find a way to beat to pull an upset here and get back in the conversation where UCF again is firmly a team in the NCAA tournament. I see it happen to teams year in and year out. They're doing well, they're doing well, and then they hit a slide in the middle of their season where they start losing games, and then it's 3-game losing streak, it's a 4-game losing streak, and then suddenly you've lost 6 of 8, and your prospects look so different than they were just like 2 weeks prior.
I really do think that if you continue to slide like this, you won't make the tournament. And I think that would be such a waste in a start of that you had this year with Johnny Dawkins. I think that the school has just needed a good season in something of relevance to the mass UCF community. I think this could be it. I think if you go and you get a win at Colorado, you come back home, you get a Texas Tech win, you put yourself in pretty good shape to make the tournament. But you gotta get a win between Texas Tech or Houston, and those are good teams. Those are really, really good teams. So I think UCF has the opportunity to set itself up for an opportunity to go to the tournament. It's up to Johnny Dawkins and his team.
Yeah, agreed. James Duncan, UCF sports commentator. I want to thank you for joining me on today's show to talk a little UCF sports. Guys, hit the comment section after the video. Let us know what you think about Keyone Jenkins. Lights out, lights off, lights on. What will it be with Keyone? Will he make his mark on UCF next season or beyond? We want to hear from you. And then let us know what you think about the numbers that we spit at you guys about the portal and what you feel like the biggest challenges are for players in the portal right now. Is UCF handling it the right way? Are kids handling this the right way? Weigh in on that. You don't need to give us your thoughts on the 30 burger. We get it. They didn't win. Hopefully we're talking about a win and the next time we bring up UCF basketball. We're going to go on and get out of here. Thank you so much for making Locked On UCF your first listen of every day and for making Locked On the #1 podcast network out there covering sports. We'll be back at you guys tomorrow with even more Locked On UCF. Go Knights.